Good evening, everyone, and good evening to our young visitors also, those in person and those online. I want to thank you for joining in person our public comment, virtual and hybrid. We have visitors also online who's listening to the public comment, who are making their public comments also. So I'm just going to read a little housekeeping rules and regulations for everyone. Each person should give her name, her address, or he or she represents, if he represents a group. In addition, state the record, the name, and the address of the said group you're representing. Every speaker shall be given a time of 3 minutes. We have our timekeeper, Councilman John Gale, right? Mr. Councilman Gale, you're going to be our timekeeper? There we go. All remarks shall be addressed to the council as a body and not to any member thereof. During the public comment, no member of the council may address the council as a member of the public. Any person making personal and pertinent slanderous remarks or who become boisterous while addressing the council shall be forthwith barred from the further audience. That is not boisterous. That is normal. So during the public comment, there shall be no debate by council, although questions may be asked by the council of person making any representation. Tonight we have with us Councilman, sorry about that. Tonight we have with us Councilman Melcar Hernandez. We have Councilman Billy Dillerdoo. We have Majority Leader Marilyn Rossetti. We also have our corporation Council Jonathan Harding. We have our timekeeper and councilperson John Gale, and also Councilman Alex Thomas. And I don't see if any other councilperson online with us tonight. So we're going to get started. So the first person up to speak will be retired Fire Chief Charles Steele. And I do also have in writing your presentation.
Thank you very much, Council President. My name is Charles A. Steele, Sr., and I am the retired chief of the Hartford Fire Department. My wife, Helene, and I live at 145 Terry Road in Hartford. Throughout the past couple of months, I've had the privilege of making my presence known in these chambers in an attempt to address what I believe is the greatest challenge facing the city of Hartford, our culture or violence. The information I presented took decades to prepare. Very simply stated, it started with conversations I had with my grandparents, Pearl Wood Smith and Benjamin Smith, and continued into my adult years as a firefighter for the Hartford Fire Department. As I began my career in the Hartford Fire Department, I worked with men like firefighter Michael P. Peters, who would someday become mayor of the city of Hartford. The first year that I served as chief, I received a call from Mayor Peters' office. He remembered the love that I have for Hartford history and directed me to give a history tour to the members of the Hartford Association of Insurance Women. I had learned a lot about Hartford history, but I was not confident that I knew enough to give a tour. This concern caused me to increase my knowledge, but more importantly, it caused me to determine what information would be included in my tour. I decided to do, as the Andrew Sisters' old song used to say, accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between. My presentations were all positive and very well received for 20 years. Suddenly, I began to feel dishonest in my presentations. I still believe that there are many wonderful aspects of our city's history, and I have benefited from them throughout my life. However, by eliminating the negative aspects of our history, I could not help addressing the problems created by past transgressions. This was especially troublesome when it became evident that much of the trauma we currently suffer from is holistic trauma. And holistic trauma is intergenerational, meaning that something that occurred in the past can affect us now, especially when it comes to extreme acts of violence. Aristotle once said, nature abhors a vacuum. When it comes to our culture of violence, we cannot just hope or expect it to change. Left alone, it will continue to be filled with more violence. For that reason, I came to you with my colleagues, Charmaine Craig and Mixa Sean Razi. Although our original intentions may have varied, We are unified in the belief that the vacuum must be filled with acts of peace, like the one approved by this City Council through your resolution, which says in the resolution resolved, one of the resolves, and I quote, that the City of Hartford will seek to provide opportunities for Native residents to reconnect with their cultural practices and ensure that Indigenous voices are included in initiatives affecting their communities. It may not be all that is required, but it is a huge step in the right direction when it comes to creating a new Hartford, Connecticut, the city of peace, and I thank you emphatically.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Next up to speak will be Anthony Reed. Right after Mr. Reed, we have Alyssa Peterson.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chief Too. Hello, everyone. Greetings to President Shirley Surgeon and all distinguished members of the council. My name is Anthony Reed. I am a native of Hartford, Connecticut, graduate of Buckley High School and Naylor Elementary. Any South End Warriors here? I am currently a student at Fairfield University obtaining my master's in cybersecurity. While obtaining my bachelor's in the Raleigh-Durham area, I saw something that what the young people would call made me feel some type of way. I saw Hartford Whalers gear all throughout downtown Raleigh to serve as history of what is now the Carolina Hurricane. Though there are many things that the city has to address and has addressed, and it seems our world is and nation is on edge about many things, in conjunction with the already amazing developments and ongoing developments of the city of Hartford, I would like to appeal to the city of Hartford to bring an NBA, National Basketball Association expansion team to the city. I know.
Okay. Sounds good.
There are many questions to be asked and many answers to be given, but I believe that I have developed and are still developing a solid plan that not only would be financially empowering to the city, but community as well. From potential investors and potential sponsors, I believe that the city of Hartford is, and the state of Connecticut as a whole, is ready for and deserves a national level sports team above the collegiate level. We already know that, UConn, we are the basketball capital of the world, right? But I think on a national level that we can support this. I believe that if we had the Whalers, and since 1997, things haven't really been the same, but I believe through the sport of basketball, changing it a little bit, that we have what it takes. My reason for attendance tonight is to express this vision of mine, but also to solicit your support as I make progress in this endeavor. I'm just a young man from south end of Hartford.
You noticed you're watching me.
You don't know me.
Sorry, sir. Somebody online just needs to mute themselves.
I'm just a young man from the south end of Hartford with a heart for this city and wants to see this city flourish. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up was Alyssa Peterson. Right after Alyssa Peterson, we have I think it's Jonathan. Go ahead, Ms. Peterson. I was trying to find the next person.
Good evening, council members. Alyssa Peterson, Grandview Terrace. I've been a homeowner in Hartford for over 35 years. We're a dying breed that has had to survive gun violence, the harm of drugs, failure of our commercial areas, building blight, and graffiti. Our neighborhood problem-solving organizations and NRZs has stood with us, but it's the area nonprofits who have the staff necessary to execute on initiatives that help solve our city's problems. One of the best models has been the Blue Hills Civic Association. I've always admired it, while similar entities like One Chain and Heart sadly failed. Blue Hills Civic has had steady leadership under Lee Hunt and then Vicki Gallen Clark for over 2 decades. So imagine my surprise when I learned this model of program success in Hartford has shuttered its doors, fired 25 full and part-time staff, and the lone man standing is a former city department head who got caught doling out $500,000 in Section 8 funds to a man fined $360,000 in a sealed federal case involving the Anti-Terrorism Act. This controversial former city employee allegedly came to the Blue Hills Civic Association last summer by arrangement of a deal made between his parents and the former board chair. It also involved a $5 million ARPA grant secured by State Senator Doug McCrory in May of 2024. Are the pass-through partners or other programs the problem? Last fall, Blue Hills Civic reported a $300,000 cyber hack through Webster Bank. Did Hartford police get it right? Were the feds brought in to handle this bank crime? Did an insurance policy cover the incident? Why did some rookie board members, including State Rep Josh Hall and some Hartford politicos, panic, resulting in the wrongful termination of these 25 full and part-time staff, and the door locks changed? Was a state audit wrongly influenced? Was the Hartford Foundation or United Way asked to help float salaries and keep things running? All rumors floating around must be put aside for now. The Blue Hills Civic Association is too important to fail. Council and mayors have relied for years on the success of this organization. Mediation between board and staff must start now to continue that success. Pick a former judge like Bob Killian or Eric Coleman. New interim board are needed as well. Without mediation, experienced employees with precious programming and neighborhood knowledge have no choice but to wait for a court battle and find other jobs. And what happens in court? Unpleasant testimony and revealing discovery? The likes of Doug McCrory, Josh Hall, Charlie Matthews, Brian Matthews, and Joanne Price, they don't want their responses to board members and texts or email exchanges revealed through court discovery or FOIA. Cooler heads need to prevail to correct misinformation, get into mediation fast, and get this agency quickly back on its feet.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Thank you, Ms. Peterson.
Please do
Thank
your
you, Ms.
part
Peterson.
as elected officials
Thank you,
to
Ms.
help.
Peterson.
You're welcome, Councilman Gale.
We want to
Again,
move on to the next speaker, please.
Please do your part to get this agency back on its feet. Thank you.
We have a number of speakers here tonight, including online. So I want to be respectful to everyone. You've got 3 minutes. We only have an hour for public comment. So please be respectful to each person and adhere to your 3 minutes presentation. Next person up to speak, and I cannot, I think it's Jedi, J-A-I-D. Please correct your name for me, sir. I apologize.
It's okay. My name is Jonathan Adakonis.
Jonathan. Thank you, Jonathan.
You're welcome. Good evening, council members. My name is Jonathan Adakonis. I live at 777 Main Street, right downtown, and I'm here tonight to talk about the flag raising resolution.
Okay.
I think it's important just to establish that I was raised in the Christian tradition. I carry many parts with it with me today. I was an altar boy. I sang in choir. I would often do double duty on weddings and funerals on Saturdays. You know, it's stories, it's music, and more importantly, it's reverence for those who suffer and serve are something that I use to guide most of my actions. I know the good that the Christian community has done here in Hartford because I've seen it. I felt it, I've received it, and I believe in the core of that calling, to love your neighbor, to give without need for praise, and to walk humbly. The resolution before you tonight would raise a Christian flag at the City Hall in recognition of service from that community. But here's what I keep coming back to. I don't think Christianity is about recognition. I think it's about action. I also don't think it's about needing to be lifted up. I think it's about needing to lift others up. And more than that, the city is served by more people than just the Christian faith. We're a city made up of many faiths and of none, of mosques and synagogues and secular mutual aid groups and atheist neighbors who shovel sidewalks when someone can, of people who give and never ask for a flag in return. So I have to ask, why now, why this flag, and why here? Because what this resolution does, whether it's intended or not, is it shifts our posture as a city. It suggests that one community's good works are more important than others, that one is worth affirmation and the others aren't. It blurs the line between service and stature. And it does so in a city that's already struggling with the weight of things we can't afford. The Christian faith is visible in the city, not just spiritually, but structurally. We have churches that dot our landscapes, and many occupy large parcels of land. Many have not paid taxes for decades, and that's okay. That's part of the social contract. The services they give are their payment. But when we talk about affirming some and not others, it starts to show some cracks in that contract. And those recognitions are ones I see every day. I see them when I see the pavers coming up on Pratt Street or Asylum Avenue, when I see missing tiles from the Bushnell Park band shell. I see them in the ducks chewing plastic at ponds that we can't afford to clear, and graffiti on new developments that feel more like transactions than neighborhoods. I see them in the people who are sleeping on the streets because the emptiness of our main corridors are more welcoming than our shelters. And I feel them every time someone asks me for help because I have no one else left to ask. That's the recognition I see lately. And it's not to say that faith communities haven't helped. They're often filling gaps that are left from wounds that we haven't been able to fill and from systems that we've left broken. I think that the tax revenue is part of that, but I also think, if I say it plainly, we can do more than raise a flag to thank them. We can reward service with service. We can invest in the work they care about and helping people's hunger, housing, and helping to heal our city. So I think we should consider that before we consider spectacle. And once we raise this flag, we also need to be aware that we're opening a door that I don't think we can close. All right.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up to speak is Bishop Torres. After Bishop Torres, we have a William Moffett.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Greetings to Madam President and City Council. I stand today in favor of the resolution of the raising of the flag. This is our third year coming here, and this year, different from other years, there's been quite a few comments against, and I'd like to bring some clarification. Concerning the display of flags other than the federal and state flags at the Hartford City Hall, the City of Hartford Municipal Code states in Chapter 2, Article 1, Section 2 to 13, F2, flags displayed in conjunction with official events or ceremonies as announced by council resolution. By resolution of the council, other flags may be displayed as official city events or ceremonies. Recently, a professor from Trinity College wrote, "Flying of flags on Hartford property is not open to the public. Under U.S. Supreme Court case law, this result in any flag flying on city property being properly understood as government speech. The First Amendment's established clause, as applied to the states via the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause, prohibits the government from establishing any religion. Under countless Supreme Court precedents, the proposed flying of Christian flag amounts to establishment of state Christianity." And he urged not to vote for this. I'd like to make two legal comments about this. Government speech. Under the U.S. Supreme Court Rust versus Sullivan case, the court has established a government speech doctrine that recognizes that a government entity is entitled to say what it wishes and to select the views it wants to express. In this vein, when the government speaks, the government is not barred by the free speech clause of the First Amendment. Here, the flag rising has been designated as government speech, and the city has decided to raise the flag in accordance with its ordinance in Section 213 F2 as noted above. The Establishment Clause the city proposed in flying the flag is not to impose Christianity on everyone in the city, as many have suggested, which would be a violation of the Establishment Clause. Instead, the city has stated in its resolution that it wants to express a recognition to the contributions of the Christian community and the many organizations that continue to support and enhance the well-being of Hartford residents through acts of service, community engagement, and outreach. The city's proposed flying of the Christian flag will not amount to the establishment of state Christianity. Therefore, raising the Christian flag would not result in an Establishment Clause violation, as Professor has claimed. I urge Council to allow us to raise the flag one more time, knowing the value that the Christian community has done in this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have William Moffett. Good evening.
Good evening, Hartford City Council. My name is Will Moffett. I live on Boulevard. I'm here representing myself. Initially, I came here tonight to speak against the resolution to raise the Christian flag, but thinking about it made me kind of think about a lot more deeper things, which I'm going to riff on for a bit. Part of the reasons why I was going to speak against it, which is, again, not to speak ill about any of the local organizations, but in our current political climate of rising white nationalism and often religious identity extremism, for any passerby seeing that flag would be alarming. I know a local council can't really do much to combat the rising tides of fascism we're seeing nationally, but clearly we are already been seeing and will continue to see the effects of it. Recent budget cuts, we're already kind of feeling it. Human services, even on a good day, are not quite funded the way they should be. We've already been seeing, as we continue to hear, essential nonprofits, which are completely going by the wayside, more to come. What we're also going to see, as we see a decrease in SNAP benefits and Social Security benefits, is increased desperation among the streets, particularly on people who often just depend on it to either deal with substance use disorders or to just keep themselves above water. I know the instinct when we see increased crimes of desperation will be to over-police. Again, as I always do, I want to speak against that. What a council can do is prioritize its budgets and what it focuses on. And we can't scapegoat a national government on both a state and a local level. We constantly just throw money at the police. He's a great guy, but the fact that we have Jim Ravella as our interim chief right now just speaks to the stagnation inherent in the department and the way that we approach it. So as we've already been seeing with many tragedies these past couple weeks, worse is going to come. And it's easy to be overwhelmed by despair, but I want to speak not just to the council, but to any Hartford resident, to any Connecticut resident out there. Really, it's cheesy, but keep hope alive. We really can't depend, I think, on our political institutions as we see increased funding cuts. But we need to help our people a lot better. We need to stop criminalizing the homeless. We need to offer safe consumption sites. Right now in the state capitol, there are many bills in support of that. I know you have busy schedules, but it would have been great to see more presence there of local people to speak on these issues. I know they're very fringe and they're very radical, but currently we can't depend on anyone else to save us. So I know this is very doom and gloom, but really stay positive, keep the course. It's easy to obsess over local battles about a flag, but we can't get tribal, we can't get siloed. We really need to work together because times are tough. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moffett. Next up to speak is Rochelle Williams. Then after Ms. Williams, then we have Michael Downs. Rochelle? No? All right, she has to leave, okay. Michael Downs.
Good evening, City Council
Good
members.
evening. Good evening.
I'm Michael Downs, 74 Rosemont Street in Hartford. And the first thing I want to speak about is the budget of the Hartford Public Schools is coming up in the next month or so. And they seem, as usual, they seem to be always short of money. One of the sources of money in the city is the corporate money. It seems like there's several $1 billion, possibly even $1 trillion worth of corporations in the city, and they ought to be able to contribute more to the Hartford Board of Education budget. We could get their attention by increasing taxes on them. It used to be that the CEOs of the various corporations lived in Hartford. They don't anymore, for the most part. So it's they don't have an interest in the education system that they once had. but the fact that they are an existing entity in this city means that they do have an interest, a great interest. Also, transportation is a great part of the Hartford Public Schools budget. And education is a state responsibility. That was established back in 1998 when the state decided to take over the Hartford Public Schools. Diversity, equity, inclusion, integration, that's a state responsibility. And therefore, the state should pay for most or all of the transportation responsibilities of the Hartford Board of Education. And another thing is, I noticed that there on the agenda tonight is addressing the tentative agreement with the Union 1716. I am also a member of the Hartford Federation of Substitute Teachers. I'm also a member of the Hartford of the Union 1716, Local 1716. And the thing I would like to find out is what is contained in that tentative agreement. We haven't seen it yet. What do they say about recreation and aquatic workers, especially? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up to speak is Carrie K. Allen. And after Carrie, we will have Sherry Fraser. Good evening.
Good evening, Shirley Surgeon and fellow members of the City Council. My name is Carrie K. Allen. I reside at 101 Mather Street in Hartford, Connecticut. And I am here tonight to, I'm not here as a concerned citizen only, but as a parent and a community member and a representative of the Parent Power Group from Blue Hills Civic Association. Recently, approximately 30 employees from Blue Hills Civic Association were abruptly terminated. No warning, no transition plan, no opportunity to prepare, just a notice of effective immediately. And these weren't just jobs lost. These were mentors, program coordinators, youth advocates, people who were deeply embedded in the lives of our children in Hartford. And what's even more troubling in the silence that followed, there's been no direct line of communication with leadership, no community meeting, no clear plan, only a lawyer who sends a strong message that protecting the organization's liability is taking precedent over accountability and transparency in this matter. But I'm not here just to speak on behalf of the employees. I'm also here to speak on behalf of our kids who relied on these programs for support, structure, and safety. And my question tonight is, what happens to them now? Were they referred to alternative programs? Is there a plan in place to make sure that they're still receiving services, or were they, like the employees, left in the dark? And with summer just around the corner, this becomes even more urgent. So these programs are what keeps our youth off the street, away from violence, drugs, and the kinds of influence that we work so hard to protect them from. And without them, what's the plan? So who's being held accountable for ensuring that our young people who didn't ask for this disruption are not abandoned? So we are looking for transparency. We need a transition plan, and we need a commitment to these kids who are now at risk of falling through the cracks. So we are not just advocating for answers, we are demanding responsibility. And what I am asking the council to do is to hold a public hearing or initiate a review to understand what led to these layoffs and how the impact on the community will be addressed. And if Blue Hills Civic Association cannot offer services, can the city step in to bridge that gap, especially during this summer? So I'm a parent. Parents are here, employees are here. We want to volunteer and work with the city department, but we need someone at the table with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Sherry Fraser. Sherry Frazier. Okay, then let's go on to Victoria Fennell. And after Ms. Fennell, we'll have Reynold Alston after that.
Okay. I'm here today not representing Blue Hills Civic Association, but representing the city of Hartford, the Blue Hills neighborhood, which has been significantly impacted. I believe that our community, North Hartford in particular, has been hit with a sledgehammer, with no accountability, with no explanation, and our young people and our seniors are left in the dark and without answers and without crucial services and programs that they depended on. Why did this happen is the question mark, and the answers still are not being fully explained. What happens to the young people over at Weaver High School who depended on programs to help them? Maybe they didn't want to go to college, but maybe to get a credential, a trade, to help them support themselves and their families. What happens to the Summer Youth Employment Program that is now in jeopardy? What happens to our young people who depended on that for workforce experiences, for training, little things that we take advantage, such as resume workshops, experiences that they would never be exposed to in their lives? What happens is the question. What happens? Sure, some people got laid off, but the question is deeper than that. It's not only about why, it's how does this organization, how does North Hartford as a community survive in so many ways, spiritually, physically, mentally, economically? That's the question that's not being answered. That's not what's being addressed. And I don't think our interests have been served well by the people who are claiming to be representatives. So that's all that I have to say at this point. I thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to speak. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Mr. Alston? Then I see that Ms. Frazier is here, so we'll go after Mr. Alston.
Raise this up a little bit so I don't have to bend this far. Madam President, Council, thank you for having me. My name is Reginald Alston Jr. I'm the poll marker president of the Hartford Alumni Chapter, which has serviced the greater Hartford community for 75 years. I am here to talk about the Public Dedications Committee resolution to superimpose the names of Samuel C. Hamilton and Sanford J. Cloud onto Lewis Street. I'm here to implore the committee to please consider this, as Samuel C. Hamilton not only was a pillar of the Hartford community, but he also worked at HEDCO for over 30 years. And those not familiar with HEDCO, they aid in funding small businesses that help local economies thrive throughout the local city of Hartford. In addition to that, he served as our 30th National Grand Poll Mark, or National President, for those that are unfamiliar with the terms. In reference to Sanford J. Cloud, he continues to impact the local city of Hartford here through the Cloud Company, and one of the few minorities to have owned a building and continue to this day to own a building on Lewis Street. Too many times we wait for our great pillars of the community to transition on before we give them their flowers. So I'm here to implore the council to please consider superimposing both the names Samuel C. Hamilton and Sanford J. Cloud onto Lewis Street. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Frazier?
Hello, everybody. How are you? My name is Sherry Frazier. I first want to talk about a number of organizations, nonprofits, that we have here in the city of Hartford. We have a number of nonprofits that no one is overseeing. They receive funding from the state. They receive funding from the federal government. No one monitors whether or not they're doing what they're supposed to. A number of organizations do not have building, phone, email address, or staff. And ooh-wee, I called. I filled out a number of documents to get their 501(c) removed. It is time that the community reports any nonprofits that receive funding from the state or the federal government, report them immediately and remove their 501(c). It's our communities, our city hall is, we love our city and we want the best. And it is disappointing to see that our city looks the way it looks and receives the amount of funding for the city of Hartford. It looks a disaster. And then on top of that, they try to give money for programs for undocumented individuals. Okay, that has been reported and that will be addressed immediately. Okay, and it just hurts me when I tabulate all the funds that come here and for our city to still look the way it looks. It should look a whole lot better. And I was amazed to hear and see that we have a number of nonprofits receiving millions, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, and when you get to those organizations, they don't have a building, don't have a phone, don't have staff, and they give you excuses. It won't happen on my watch. And I hope you feel the same way, because just like I can see when the money drops, you can also see when the money drops and step in to make sure those organizations are doing what they need to do.
Thank you, Ms. Fraser. Next up to speak is Confessor Reyes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Blue Hills Civic Association gave me the opportunity to give back to the community. It became a home, not only a home to me, but a home to the community, where they came broken, crying, and they left with a smile. We went out of our way to provide them the services that they needed. And if we didn't have that service, we would go beyond and find that service for them. The community needs Blue Hills Civic Association. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, so we're going to go to our visitors online. And first up to speak is Shireen Lovejoy.
Good evening, council members.
Good evening.
I am Lovejoy. I reside at 51 Barber Street in Hartford. I am a former Blue Hills Civic Association employee, and I think pretty much everything that could be said has been said. I only want to add that all we really want is for there to be clarity and for there to be justice done, not just for ourselves, but for our community. And I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Brother Lovejoy, I saw that you were on Zoom. You signed up on Zoom, but if you're in person, we're glad to have you speak in person.
Madam President, that's my clone online.
Oh, okay.
I chose to be here. Good evening, Madam President and council members. My name is Brother Kelvin X. Lovejoy. I come here before you this evening not just as a lifelong resident of Hartford, but also as a community organizer, a public servant, a witness also to a betrayal of trust that has shaken the very foundation of one of our most respected community institutions, the Blue Hills Civic Association. For 62 years, BHCA, as we lovingly call it, has been a pillar in North Hartford, supporting youth, empowering families, building leaders, and doing the work that many just talk about. That work was made possible by a staff of dedicated professionals, people who work day in and day out, uplifting the most vulnerable in our community. Almost 1 week ago, the staff of BHCA, approximately 30 committed workers, were terminated by the board of directors without notice, without a plan, without any respect to due process. Our executive director was placed on administrative leave, and a vague narrative of financial mismanagement was offered, without facts, without transparency, with no independent investigation completed. This is more than just internal dysfunction, it is a public issue. These programs run by BHCA were funded by the city, state, and even federal dollars. These are your constituents. These are your neighbors, the youth, the workers, the mentors, the violence interrupters, the educators who have been stripped of their position, their dignity, without explanation. We were told that there's no money. We choose not to believe that opinion. Funding has been secured. Salaries were covered. Programs were in motion. So we must ask, what's really going on? This is why we're here tonight, to take action and to demand action. In organizing, we say that an action is a concrete step towards a goal. So city council members, with respect, we ask you, will you help us to demand an independent investigation? Will you help us to demand transparency in the board's actions and decisions that were made? We reject the false narrative that there is no money, and we're requiring some form of independent audit of public funds dispersed to BHCA. And finally, will you help to protect the people who made BHCA what it is today, the staff? On the broader side, will you help us protect the Hartford community? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Not sure if there's a Cheryl Banks here online. Cheryl, you signed up for Zoom, but you're here.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for this time. I stand in solidarity with my comrades on Zoom and here today. This is a time to take action, and we do demand action. When it came time for me to decide and my name is Cheryl Banks, again. When it came time for me to decide where would I stand in position to speak up or help those in my community speak up for themselves, Blue Hills Civic Association was the first place that came to mind. So when I got the word on April 8th that I was terminated, I was like, whoa, this surely has to be a hack. This cannot be real. But come to find out, it is real. And thinking about the youth that we serve and that we work with, and the parents that we work with, this is unacceptable. It's very unacceptable. I don't really know too much what else to say except for we need some transparency. We need some actions taken. We do have some questions, and I would like to know, and I know a few other people would like to know while we're going through this, where are the politicians? Where's the mayor? Where are the faith leaders? Where are the funders, the state, the nonprofits who claim to care about equity and justice? Now is the time to show up. Hartford deserves better, the North End deserves better, and the truth must be told. Thank you.
Thank you. Calvin Sims, online. Okay, Mr. Sims,
Yes.
your time to speak,
My,
sir.
my name is Kelvin Sims. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. I live in Manchester. I will forego my comments for time, and because my president / poll mark has done a great job presenting our case.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you, sir. Since he said somebody spoke for him. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Sarah Lavery. Sarah.
Hi.
Good evening.
Hi. Thank you. I'm Sarah Lavery, and I live at 33 Charter Oak Place, and I'm here to speak against the resolution that you are considering to fly the Christian flag over City Hall. I was raised a Christian myself. I actually grew up attending Asylum Hill Congregational Church on Asylum Avenue. And although I no longer identify as a Christian, I do hold a deep reverence for the Christian tradition. And I think that many of our faith-based organizations offer a lot to the community. With that said, I disagree with an earlier speaker. I do believe that it is a violation of the Establishment Clause, and that flying the flag over City Hall runs the risk of potential legal challenge, and that the city should consider that. And I believe that it is important that the city act as good stewards to our precious resources, and that assuming the potential risk and cost from legal challenges that could come from flying the flag over the City Hall, I just think that it is, I think it's irresponsible. I think it's a gesture that does not hold much value in the grand scheme of things. And I'm losing my train of thought, I apologize. But I hope that you consider the subtext that goes along with flying a flag of a particular faith when it is also Passover. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Next up to speak, Kerwin Lowe. Kerwin?
Hello.
Okay,
Yeah.
good
Hi,
evening.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good evening, Madam President, members of the City Council. I'm also here on behalf of the Hartford Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated as a current board member and past president and chair of our 75th anniversary celebration, of which the honorary street naming is particularly important and meaningful for me personally. Our chapter president did an outstanding job speaking on behalf of this resolution. I'd like to follow that up with some additional comments. I also come before you as someone who's deeply committed to preserving and elevating the stories of these two individuals who not only helped to shape our city, but they helped to shape people like me. I'm not a Hartford native. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, but individuals like Samuel C. Hamilton and Sanford Cloud Jr. played a significant role in shaping me as a young man, and I wouldn't be where I am today without the example and impact of people like them. My wife and I were very intentional in our decision to live in the city of Hartford when we moved here, and we believe in the city and its legacy and the importance of honoring those individuals that made Hartford what it is. And that's why I stand in strong support of the resolution for the honorary naming of Lewis Street as Samuel C. Hamilton and Sanford Cloud Jr. Way.
Thank you, sir.
And I think this is.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I think this is more about just these two names. It's about, affirming a legacy. It's about telling a story. And as a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, Our founding principle is achievement in every field of human endeavor, and these two men embodied that mission. And this is a moment that powerfully, reflects what that principle truly means. I'm sure that many individuals on the council are very familiar with both Sam Hamilton and Sandy Cloud and their accomplishments, and how much they poured in and continue to pour into the city of Hartford, and create opportunities for individuals and communities that continue to flow throughout their neighborhoods and our institutions and our families, and that they stood for excellent service and equity, not only locally but globally, with Sam Hamilton being our 30th Grand Pole Marker National President. A few final comments. There's a line in a song that's very dear to our fraternity called Kappa Man, and it says, "He wakes up early in the morning, Sunday morning, he learns his lessons oh so well, and he will love to tell the story." And that's what I think this is an outstanding opportunity to tell a tremendous story that's worth cementing with this honorary street naming. So,
Thank you so
I
very
just
much for your
respectfully urge the
testimony.
council to approve this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one last speaker, Janice Fleming. Ms. Fleming?
Oh, I'm sorry, Madam President. I was here to listen. I don't know how I got here. Thank you.
All right. We
I may have the
understand.
wrong link.
Well, we thank you for joining us, listening to the public comment. So, seeing we have no other...
I will say that I have a few minutes that I hope everything gets sorted out with Blue Hill Civic Association after leaving Hartford areas that rally together. I was the lead organizer and brought organizing to Blue Hill Civic Association. And so I hope the best for them, more importantly for the children and the parents who rely on the services. And we hope that this gets situated before summer employment. So I urge the council, like others, to look into what's going on so we can make sure that our kids have employment for the summer. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Ms. Fleming. Seeing that we have no other comment, I am going to call this public comment to close. If you stay with us for a few more minutes, we're going to take a few-minute break, and we're going to go into our regular scheduled council meeting. Thank you so very much for everyone to join us this evening.